Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Welcome back to the study of Vivekacūḍāmaṇi. We missed the last month's sessions. Till now, Shankaracharya has explained to us the fourfolded discipline, sadhana chatushtaya. What are those? Adau nitya nitya vastu vivekaha. Viveka is discrimination between what is nitya, it is eternal, permanent, and what is anitya, what is impermanent, what is temporary. The world indeed is temporary, and the only one thing that is permanent is Brahman, or the supreme reality. In order to realize this concept that Brahman alone is real and the universe is unreal, one needs to go through certain disciplines. And the first one itself is to become convinced that the reality, or Brahman, you can even call God, is the only thing that is everlasting, that which is permanent, and that everything else is impermanent. Yet, we have to deal with this world. We have to have an attitude that when things happen in a manner which is beyond our control, we should think that ultimately it is temporary and that we should not get perturbed by it. And then secondly, he said, Yaha amutra phalabhoga viraga. Iha means here, and amutra, that is there. That is in Shankara's time and also in olden times, they were very much concerned about the life hereafter. What will happen to me after this life? Iha amutra phalabhoga. Enjoyment is the main concern of human life, according to the sociologist in those days. Even today, the same thing is there. So, iha amutra phala bhoga. Unless one is able to put behind the West, one cannot move towards the East. The West, Sri Ramakrishna's words, if you have to go towards the East, you must be prepared to leave the West behind. So here, amutra phalabhoga, if we are really convinced that God alone is real, then this vairagya should come to us. And of course, there is a practice which we have understood a little bit and which we will be understanding more in the next verses, in the future sessions. And then Shama Adi Shatka Sampatti. The 6 treasures, he says. Sampatti means treasures. Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. So he has enumerated it, which we have studied in some detail. Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. And in the end, after mentioning all of that, Shankaracharya says, what is the best path to be convinced about the reality? That is the subject matter that we are trying to study today. This is the 31st verse, 32nd verse. Moksha karana samagryam bhaktireva gariyasi swasvarupānusandhānam bhaktirityavidīyate. Among things conducive to liberation, devotion, that is bhakti alone, holds the supreme place. The seeking after one's real nature is designated as devotion. See, this is the definition from the Advaita standpoint of view, which does not consider the dualistic form of worship of God as a person. So, but yet the concept of bhakti is very much there. Bhakti is an important thing. So here, among things that are very conducive to liberation, he says devotion, bhakti alone holds the supreme place. What is bhakti? He defines swarupa anusandhanam. Swa means one's, swarupa, real nature. Anusandhanam, that is seeking or exploring. Anusandhana means actually exploring. Exploration about one's own real nature. That is called as Swarupa Anusandhanam Bhaktihi iti abhidiyate. This he calls as bhakti. So, this seeking of what am I, or who am I, what is the true nature, and what is my real dimension, the dimension of the I, which I use so frequently, so many times a day. So this concerted search of our true nature is called as bhakti. On the face of it, it appears that this is jnana, that Sri Shankaracharya is talking about. Yes, it is jnana, but in order to attain to jnana, one should have bhakti. Without having bhakti, one cannot reach the supreme goal. So Narada in his Narada Bhakti Sutra, he defines this as Satu Parama Prema Swarupa. What is the nature of bhakti? What is the nature of devotion? Parama Prema Swarupa. The nature of bhakti is such that it is Parama Prema. Prema means love. Parama Prema is supreme love. A love which transcends all limitations, where there is only the beloved and the loved person. The beloved and the loved person. There was a great saint, woman saint called Rabaya in Arabia. And she was a great Sufi saint. She was at the same time as Jalaluddin Rumi, I think. Jalaluddin Rumi's time. She was one of the most beautiful women in whole of Arabia. And all the Arab kings wanted to marry her. But she was not interested in any of that. So she goes into the desert and stays in a cave, and there she practices the spiritual disciplines, intense spiritual disciplines. And so she writes certain poems after her realization. In one of the poems, he says, "The beloved came and knocked at the door of the loved ones. And he knocked the door, and from within, the loved one asked the question, 'Who comes there?' So the beloved said, 'I come. I, your beloved person, beloved, have come.' So the loved one says, 'Go away and come back after some time.' So this person was bewildered. He goes back, comes back after some time, and he knocks the door again. The same question is asked, 'Who is it there?' 'I, my love, your very own beloved person, have come.' Again, the answer comes, 'Go away, come back later, ponder over your words and come back later.' So this goes on several times, and at last, the beloved realizes. He comes, and when the door is answered, he says, I, my love, who is yourself, has come. I, my love, who is yourself, have come. And the door opens. That is to say, unless and until you realize your identity, total identity with the object of love, it cannot be parama prema, that it cannot be supreme love. And this definition, swa atma tattva anusandhanam, is indicative of that. Identity, that is, understanding your own very self, who you are, or who I am in totality. That requires this total involvement, total love, which is beyond all duality. In duality, the love that we express for each other is based on selfishness. I want to be happy and therefore I love you. That is what it is. Can one identify oneself with the beloved? In rare cases, it does happen. But one's identity is totally merged in the other person's identity. One's ego is totally merged in the other person's ego. That is real love. That is absolute love. Parama Prema Swarupa. That is what he says. And then Shandilya also, another Shandilya Muni, he also has written Bhakti Shandilya Bhakti Sutras. There he says, Sa Paranurakti Rishware. It is extreme. Anurakti means extreme attachment. Extreme attachment, without whose presence one cannot live even. This we find expressed in the love between Radha and Sri Krishna. The Radha's love was totally unalloyed, totally unselfish, totally pure. There is absolute purity in that. So much so that Radha sometimes used to behave as if she was Krishna, Sri Krishna himself. Coming to the modern times, we see this expressed in the life of Holy Mother Sharda Devi. Sharda Devi also sometimes used to enter into such moods, and she would behave just like Sri Ramakrishna. She would talk like Sri Ramakrishna, she would eat like Sri Ramakrishna, she would walk like Sri Ramakrishna, everything. People would be surprised. Where is our mother? Here is Sri Ramakrishna himself, because of her total identity with the object of her love, that is Sri Ramakrishna. It is possible in such cases, there is no doubt about that. So, moksha karana samagryam bhaktireva gariyasi. And then there is another line to be added to that. Swa atma tatvanusandhanam bhaktirityapare jaguhu. Others maintain that the inquiry into the truth of one's own self is devotion. Others maintain that the inquiry. It is also very similar to the ones that was mentioned earlier. There it was swarupa anusandhanam, knowing one's real nature. And here he says swa atma tattva anusandhanam. That means trying to know who the Atman is. Atman here means the real self behind all of us, the real self behind every one of us. So that is, in other words, he is using the same expression, the same meaning in these two expressions. So Atma Tatvanusandhanam. Next verse. Ukta sadhana sampannaha tatvajignyasuratmanaha upasided gurum pragnyam yasmat bandha vimokshanam. The inquirer about the truth of the Atman, who is possessed of the above mentioned means of attainment, should approach a wise preceptor who confers emancipation from bondage. See, Ukta Sadhana Sampanna. What are those Ukta Sadhana Sampanna? What are those means? The above mentioned, that is, the four qualities that we just mentioned a little while ago. Adau Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha, discrimination between the unreal and the real, and one who is prepared to give up the enjoyments here and hereafter, and Shamadhi Shakka Sampattihi, that is the 6 qualities, and then Mumukshutva, the desire to be free. If one has all of these, then see, these are the preconditions to accept a guru. Very tough, very tough. So he says, the inquirer about the truth of the Atman, who is possessed of the above mentioned means of attainment, should approach a wise preceptor who confers emancipation from bondage. That is to say, it does not necessarily mean that you possess all of this, but you have an idea about what you are stepping into, what you are going to make yourself of. That is, if I want to have the supreme knowledge, then I should be prepared to possess these great qualities. And for that, a great amount of sacrifice is required. Sacrifice, without sacrifice, nothing can be achieved. Every one of you have sacrificed a lot in order to achieve what you have achieved. So also, if you are really keen on spiritual attainment, then you need to try to achieve, or at least try to gain an insight into these four qualities. So then you have to accept a teacher. Is it not possible to go after knowing, after having all these qualifications? Is it not enough for us to go ahead and practice the spiritual disciplines? Well, the scriptures say, look, you may do that, but the dangers of falling away or falling off the path is very much there. The dangers are many. So therefore, it says you need to find a good guide. If I want to climb Mount Everest, I cannot just go and climb just as I would climb a small hill here. No. If I have to climb Mount Everest, I need to go through certain disciplines. I need to go through certain practices and exercises. And then I should have a guide. The Sherpas who live in those regions, they are well acquainted with the terrain. They also can help you in carrying your things, which you will not be able to if you are going from the plains. So they are there. If you say, no, I can go all by myself, then we know what will be the result of it. It will be perilous. Therefore, if I have to climb such a difficult mountain, I will have to take the help of an experienced guide, not just anybody and everybody. You must have an experienced guide who knows how to rescue you also. Even if you fall off from some cliff, he will be able to rescue you because he has the ways and means. He knows the ways and means of rescuing us. So this spiritual life is much, much greater than climbing Mount Everest. Nowadays, many people are able to climb Mount Everest, no doubt. But this mountain that we have to climb is even much, much more difficult. Therefore, we need to have a guru. See, Swami Yatishwaranandaji, one of our monks, used to say, even if you want to become a pickpocket, in those days in India, you have lots of pickpocket. You need to have a guru. Pickpocket also have their guru. They have their own association. They have their own guru. Without going through that the training with the guru, one will not be able to become an expert pickpocket. So, what to know, what to say about a spiritual aspirant? We need to have a guru in order to go to that. And what should be the qualifications of a guru? Not everybody and everybody can become a guru. See, it is guru na mile, guru mile lakh lakh, chala na mile ek. They say guru is available in in hundreds of thousands, but it's very difficult to get a proper chela, that means a shishya or a disciple. But also to get a proper guru is also not easy. So what are the qualifications? He says, Shrotriyo avrajino akamahato yo brahmavittamaha brahmanyuparata shanto nirindhana ivanalaha ahetu kadaya sindhur bandhurana matam satam. So the Guru should have these qualities. Where will you find? Are you going to go and write a letter to the Guru and say, ask him, do you have all these qualifications that I can accept you as Guru? No. One should do it. Of course, there are many ways of getting a Guru or accepting a Guru. One is through observation. You observe the Guru day and night. Sri Ramakrishna had a disciple, Yogendranath Chaudhary, who later became Swami Yogananda. Yogin, he used to be called as Yogin in short. So Yogin came as a young boy to Sri Ramakrishna, and he was impressed by Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna also saw in him spiritual qualities, and so he asked him to come regularly. So he used to come to Sri Ramakrishna. His house was very next to the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar, so he could come very regularly. He was still in school, and he used to come, and he observed Sri Ramakrishna very keenly. He used to observe him, and he was really impressed that here is a person who is a genuine spiritual person. He does not act as if he is a spiritual person, but he is a genuine person. So he was a bit convinced about it. And Sri Ramakrishna read his mind, of course. He knew that this boy is not fully convinced about me, because Sri Ramakrishna used to talk about renunciation of lust and gold, or lust and wealth. So yogins said, well, he is talking about renunciation of lust and wealth, but he has got his wife there in the Nahabat, which was, Nahabat is a room which was very much opposite to Sri Ramakrishna's room. So she lives in the Nahabat, who used to cook food for Sri Ramakrishna and the disciples, and would send the food to Sri Ramakrishna. But she did not live in the same room as Sri Ramakrishna, but Sri Ramakrishna was a monk. Anyway, so one day Sri Ramakrishna told Yogin, why don't you stay in my room this night? So I will teach you about meditation and other things. So why don't you stay here? So he stayed with Sri Ramakrishna in his same room. And about midnight, Sri Ramakrishna woke up and went to wear his slippers, and Yogin was still awake. He was observant about Sri Ramakrishna. Then Sri Ramakrishna had to go out to answer the call of nature, and so he had to go out. So Yogin also got up, and then he also followed Sri Ramakrishna to see whether Sri Ramakrishna is going towards his wife's room, Nahabat, or somewhere. So Sri Ramakrishna went to answer the call of nature, and as he was, he knew that now Yogin is watching him. And so when he came back, by that time Yogin had laid down, and then he asked Yogin, well, I am very much pleased with you. You should observe your Guru during the day, and you should also observe your Guru during the night. That is to say, how he is. That is the sign of a Guru. He will let you examine him. He will not be upset by your examining him, but he will very gladly accept your challenge. So that is the real guru. So he gives some of the qualifications that one should notice in a guru. Of course, the other way is, if a guru comes to you or to your place or your wherever you are, you go to some place and you just feel that you should have this person as your guru, not just emotionally, but after proper understanding. At that time, when you accept him, that you must accept that person throughout your life as the guru. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna in one place says, somebody complained to Sri Ramakrishna, oh, my guru does this, my guru does that, and so on and so forth. Sri Ramakrishna immediately admonished him and said, don't say such words. Jaddapi Shudibadi Jai, Tobu Amar Guru Nityananda Rai. In Bengali, there is a couplet. He says, even though my guru goes to the grog shop, yet my guru is the embodiment of the divine. Once we have received the mantra from the guru or guidance from the guru, we should not change horses midway, as it is called. See, so we should accept the guru because Satchidananda himself, the Supreme Being himself, comes in the form of the guru and initiates one. So that must be borne in mind. So, but yet we need to observe, we can observe some of the qualities of the guru. What are they? Shrotriyaha. Shrotriya means one who has studied very well. Shrotriya. Avrajinaha. Avrajinaha means without sin. That means a pure personality, sinless. See, if we vacuum the floor with all the dust within the vacuum cleaner, would the vacuum clean the floor? It will not. So, in the same way, a sinful person will only transmit sin to you. Therefore, he should be sinless. Avrajinaha. Akamahataha. A person who is unsmitten by desire. Akamahataha. The only intention of the guru is the welfare of the Shishya. And for that matter, the guru can take one to task, can really take one to task. And because he loves the disciples as his very own self. See, so akamata, he does not ask anything of the disciple except that the disciple should progress and that the disciple should do what he has asked him or her to do. That is what he says as akamahataha. He has no desire, no ulterior motive at all. He does not look into your bank balance. He does not look into your purse or anything. But he just wants your total welfare. Welfare in this world as well as in the next. Akamahataha yo brahmavittamaha. A person who is par excellence, the highest type, who is a knower of Brahman of the highest type. That means one who has realized God, a person who has merged in God, within God. That is, if his mind is always perched in the presence of the divine. That is the idea. Brahmani uparataha shantaha. Brahmani. Uparataha, who has withdrawn himself into Brahman, who has placed his existence in the knowledge of Brahman. That is the idea, not on his ego, individual ego, but on the supreme Brahman. Whatever he does or says is always reflecting that aspect of Brahman only. Everything that he does is reminds us about Brahman, about the supreme reality. That is the highest type of guru. Then Brahmani uparataha shantaha. Shantaha means one who is very calm, composed. Shantaha. Another meaning of Shanta is Antaha Shanta. That means his desires have all come to a complete stop. His desires have come to a complete stop, and therefore is not perturbed by the evils of the world or perturbed by the trials and tribulations of the world. Nirindhana ivanalaha. So he gives an example of how that shantata is, that peace is. Nirindhana ivanalaha. A fire is burning, for example. If the fire has burnt away, but you still feel the presence or the heat of the fire only, but you do not see the smoke emanating out of it. You only feel the presence of fire in the embers. That is what he says. Nirindhana iva analaha. The fire that has consumed its fuel. That means it has completed its burning completely. No, desires are the fires. All our desires that we have are the different fires. And these fires we keep on burning. And in order for it to burn, we keep on pouring more and more of fuel. Fuel called pleasures of the world. We keep on doing that all the time. And we can never be able to satiate this fire. The more you pour fuel into it, the more would it burn. There was this great king Yayati. Yayati was a very learned person. He was a great king and ruled over his kingdom very well. But he maintained a very good health. And so as he was aging, when in spite of his good health, some disabilities started peeping in. He thought, well, I have not completed the enjoyment of this world. I still have a lot more to enjoy. And now this body is not cooperating with me. The mind wants to enjoy, but the body is not really cooperating with me. It is not giving me as much happiness as I was getting before. Is there any way that I can have everlasting happiness? More and more happiness? So he goes into a pensive mood, thoughtful mood, and he neglects his royal duties. This is observed by his ministers. His prime minister asks him, "Sir, why is it that you have become so morose? What is making you so sad?" Yayati says, "Well, I still have so much of desire welling up within me, and yet I am unable to enjoy them. This body is becoming a hindrance for it. If I can bring back my youth, I would be the happiest person. So the minister says, is that possible at all? Says, maybe there is a way out, find out. So they keep on, the ministers send messages everywhere. Said, is there anyone who can bring back the youth of our great king? So many people, many with medicinal people, they come and say, well, we cannot give you back your youth, definitely, but we can maintain your status quo for some time at least. So he said, no, I'm not interested in that. I want to get back my youth. At last, a wise saint who had come to town, he comes and hears this from the king's announcers, and says, well, take me to the king. So he goes to the king and says, well, O king, I know a method of bringing back your youth. Is that so? What is it? Please tell me. Yayati asks, and the saint says, well, if another young person can give his youth to you and take away your old age, then you can be young for some more time. Another 30 years, 25, 30 years. So is that so? That is very good. All right, where shall I find such person? So he announces, it makes it broadcast everywhere that the king wants a young person to give his youth to the king and take his old age. So, and in return, the king would reward him sumptuously. So the message goes everywhere. Not a single young person comes forward. Nobody wants to lose their youth. Not a single young person in the whole of the country comes forward. At last, he is much morose than what he was. And the king's own son, who was a wise person, he comes. He was in the prime of his youth. And he comes and says, Father, what bothers you? Says, my son, this is what it is. This saint here is able to bring me back the youth, but somebody has to sacrifice his youth for the sake of my youth. Said, why do you bother? Here I am. I am happy to give that. And he directly goes to the saint and says, sir, please make my father young again. Take my youth and give it to my father. And then then I am happy to become old. And thus the king gets his son's youth and gives away said part of his old age to his son, and he enjoys for another decade or two. He enjoys, but again the same problem comes. The youth is now getting over. The time has now come for him to become old again. At last he comes to this realization that these desires are never ending. And then he says these words, Na jatu kama kamana upabhogena shamyati havisha krishnavartmeva bhuya evabi vardhate. Na jatu kamaha kamanam upabhogena shamyati. Kamaha, desire, can never be quenched by enjoying the objects of desire. And he gives the example, Havisha Krishnavartmeva. In a fire, if you start pouring ghee, clarified butter, it will only become brighter and brighter, fiercer and fiercer. If you try to put down or put off the fire by pouring oil into it, it will never do. It will only become transformed into fire. Similarly, desires are never ending. This has been mentioned in the scriptures, especially the Vivekacūḍāmaṇi that we are studying. So here he is one who is Nirindhana Ivanala. There is no more fire in him. It is all Shanta. It has become completely quiet. No more of desires. No more of pouring any objects of desires into himself. And then the other quality he says, Ahetuka Daya Sindhu. Ahetuka Daya Sindhu. Boundless, who is a boundless reservoir of mercy. His compassion does not know any bounds. At all times, the Guru thinks of the welfare of the disciple. He is only interested in your total welfare, especially spiritual welfare. So then he pours all of his compassion towards this disciple. Ahetuka Daya Sindhu. Ahetuka. Why does he show compassion to you? There is no reason why he should show compassion to you. To Sri Ramakrishna used to come, many young people used to come, and Sri Ramakrishna would ignore his own physical limitations or physical ailments, and he would continuously guide them, talk to them, and lead them towards the spiritual path. So along with Sri Ramakrishna, there lived a person whose name was Hazra. He used to pose as a very holy person, and he used to quote from the scriptures, etc., and would live there. He had his own family, but he had left all of them, and he had come and he was staying there, and just to make a show of himself to people. And so he would ask Sri Ramakrishna, see, these boys who are coming to you, they do not have a penny. Even to come to you, they do not have the carriage hire, the vehicle hire. You provide them, and you ask people to give them give some money for their carriage hire. And yet you love them. What do they have? What are they giving to you that you love them so much? You spend so much of time and energy on them. Sri Ramakrishna would just laugh and say, I see Narayana in them. That is why I love. That is the attitude of a guru. The guru sees the divine in the disciple. And of course, the disciple must also have the attitude of seeing the divine in the guru. Brahmani uparatash ahetuka daya siddhu bandhurana matam satam, and a friend of all good people who prostrate themselves before him. Bandhurana matam satam. There is no enemy to such persons. Nirvaira sarvabhuteshu, says Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Nirvaira. There is no enemy at all. Even the fiercest of animals are his friends. That is to say, the very seed of enmity is not there in such a person. So that is the type of person a guru is. And tam aradhya gurum bhaktya prahva prashraya sevanaihi prasannam tam anuprapya prachet jnatavyam atmanaha. Worshipping that guru, such a guru, with devotion and approaching him when he is pleased with prostration, humility, and service, he should ask him what he has got to know. This is one great methodology in our spiritual sciences or in spiritual life. Unless and until you ask, you will not get it. Even though the Guru or the Divine knows what you want, yet you should express that. That is to say, you should become humble enough. You should give up your egotism and then become humble enough. Sit at their feet and then ask for the blessings and ask for the guidance. So, prashna, that means or asking questions of the Guru or seeking guidance from the Guru or seeking guidance from any teacher for that matter is very, very important. Worshipping that Guru with devotion and approaching him when he is pleased with prostration, humility, and service. These are some of the services that a disciple has to do. What is it? Prostration. That means giving up oneself to the Guru, sacrificing one's self to the Guru, prostration. So one of the ways of expressing that I surrender to you is by prostrating. So that prostration and then humility. Yeah. See, in South India, you might, those who are from South India are very familiar with it. When they go to the Guru, they will shut their mouth like this and talk. They will be talking, but then shutting their mouth like that, so that one's spittle does not fall upon the Guru. See, of course, with COVID, we have become like that, hopefully, so that one should not spit on others. That's a good thing. Humility. It's just the expression of humility like this. And service, of course. Whatever the Guru asks you to do, he will do. Swami Vivekananda had a disciple. His name was Swami Kalyanananda. He was, Nishchayananda. He was a soldier in the British Army. Of course, he gave up everything and came to Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda once asked him, well, look here, if I ask you to go and jump into the river, would you do that? He said, yes, Swamiji, I will be able to do that. Of course, because of his military training, he was prepared for it. So one day, Swamiji asked him to bring a cow for the cowshed from the other side of the river Ganges. So he had to go there by boat, and then he had to bring the cow for the cowshed. So he put the cow in the boat, and the boatsman was taking, and for some reason the cow got scared, and the cow bolted from the boat and jumped into the river. And this Nishyananda would not give up. He just held the cow, and then he swam to the other side. And then Swamiji said, what did you do? What would happen if you had drowned over there? He said, Swamiji, you had told me to lead the cow, so I did not leave the leash. So I did not leave. So I came to, this is the type of absolute humility, absolute obedience to the words of the Guru. Just for fun, that's all. So we will, how he approaches the Guru, etc., will come next. And very fortunately, we have got this subject very near to Guru Purnima. That is on the 21st of this month is Guru Purnima. Anyway, that is good. All right, we will stop here. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste, Swamiji. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Swamiji.
Swamiji. Namaste, Swamiji.